Welcome back. You're still watching Network Africa on Channels Television. Now, last night, the eyes of the world were fixed on Nigeria to listen to President Goodluck Jonathan, what he had to say to Nigerians. During the interactive session, the president assured Nigerians that he would be ready to relinquish power if he loses the next election slated for March the 28th. In addition, he said he remains committed to staging a free and fair election and urged Nigerians to play their part. Now, all week we've been telling you about the latest tragedy concerning illegal immigration in which 200 to 300 people lost their lives. The European Union is saying the tragedy could have been prevented with better EU life-saving provisions. The UN's refugee agency UNHCR is also saying more migrants are dying due to reduction in search and rescue efforts. Italy's major patrol and rescue operation ended last year, and a smaller-scale EU operation, Triton, took over. The UNHCR says about 3,500 migrants died trying to cross the Mediterranean Sea to Europe in 2014. In the latest disaster, more than 300 people drowned after the 4 dinges they were traveling in got into trouble setting off across the sea from Libya. That's a favored but perilous route used by migrants trying to get into Europe. Now, yesterday we told you that despite the power-sharing deal in South Sudan, fighting had erupted in some parts. While in nearby Sudan, trouble is also brewing for some Sudanese soldiers who are being accused by a U.S.-based human rights group of raping at least 221 women and girls in Sunday's Dafur region late last year, or in Sudan's Dafur region late last year. The allegations are being made after attempts by the United Nations to investigate the matter were blocked in Khartoum. New York-based Human Rights Watch said the mass rape took place during 3 days of attacks. The group said 15 survivors, 1 female witness, and 23 other credible sources had given its information of mass rapes committed between October the 30th and November the 1st in the Dafur town of Tabit. It also said it had collected names and other information of 221 victims. Sudanese Army spokesman Al-Swarmi Khalid rejected the accusations as completely wrong and described them as a bid to pressure Sudan to keep a joint UN-African Union peacekeeping force in Darfur. Law and order have collapsed in much of Darfur, where mainly non-Arab rebels took up arms in 2003 against the Arab-led government in Khartoum, accusing it of discrimination. UNAMID has been deployed in Darfur since 2007, and tensions have increased between Sudan and the peacekeeping mission, and Khartoum said in November that it had asked UNAMID to prepare an exit plan. Now, in other news, words are powerful. They could either make you or break you, and for the Interior Minister of Libya, the latter is the case. He's been suspended by Libya's official prime minister for criticizing an autonomous army general whose forces have been instrumental in protecting the internationally recognized government. The decision exposed divisions inside the government and elected parliament, which exercise power only in a remote eastern swathe of Libya, since being forced to relocate there by an armed factional takeover of the capital, Tripoli, in mid-2014. The country appears to be dominated by armed factions, which helped topple Muammar Gaddafi in 2011, but now competes for power in a conflict involving tribes. Former Gaddafi troops, Islamist militants, and federalist forces last year to add firepower to regular army forces. Prime Minister Abdullah Al-Tini and Parliament formed an alliance with General Khalifa Haftar, who commands his own armed faction, including an air force. While the alliance has managed to win back some territory from Islamists in the main eastern city of Benghazi, Haftar has joined criticism for calling in airstrikes on civilian airports and seaports in an attempt to regain Tripoli. Now, besides the release of the Al Jazeera journalist on bail, which is causing a buzz in Egypt, bad weather is also causing a stir. For a second day in several ports in Alexandria, Suez, Damietta, and Kafar al-Sheikh remain shut down. The dust storm or sandstorm, which began on Tuesday, February the 10th, is expected to continue until this evening. Some ports were shut down due to strong winds and the high waves. Alexandria's maritime authority said the ports had to close for fear that they would collapse into one another due to the bad weather. Many carrions, including some traffic police, were seen wearing medical masks while others were outside of the guard from the dust.